ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello, good morning, Durian. I welcome to Durian ASEAN. You're with Grace. On ASEAN Dailies, we deliver news from Southeast Asia. Now, there are quite a number of news that we can discuss and comment, especially what happened yesterday. There was a fire broke out in the Royal Malaysia Police Headquarters at Bukit Aman. It's in Kuala Lumpur. So, the fire was reported to have broken out at the 10th story of the Malaysian Police Headquarters, Tower 2. And Malaysian National Police Chief Khalid Abu Bakar, he mentioned in his Twitter account that fire was extinguished with no reported casualties and the cause was being investigated. Well, he also added by saying that the section of the Crime Investigation Unit, which is located on the 10th floor, was safe, but the only old and unimportant documents were affected by the fire. He also urged the public to stop spreading the rumors about the fire. Well, it just coincidentally happened with lines of what happened just the day before yesterday with the government reshuffling, as well as a lot of questions and rumors were just spread out throughout the nation. And even this news was reported on BBC and CNN internationally. So it is one of the highlighted news, and especially the Twitter, the hashtag was one of the top 5 regards to this government reshuffling. So apparently now so far the situation after the building was on fire, the only unimportant documents were destroyed in the fire at the office headquarters in the Bukit Aman, and of course the fire has been extinguished already, and luckily there was no the people who were hurt. It was just the unimportant documents. And he also added that the fire was being investigated, of course. And yes, the fire broke out, and now there are lots of speculations going on, and there is even a video. Of course, the photos are just uploaded on Facebook constantly. And well, it is about the floor level 9 and 10, and this is definitely where the criminal investigation and the narcotics department was located. So everything is under investigation, and hopefully we will love to know what has really caused this whole incident. And of course, from the public side, the more questions are raised because people are really curious, because it happened one day after one after the other. And according to the KL Fire and Rescue Department Operation Director Azizan Ismail, the department received a call about the fire about 7:20 p.m. on Wednesday, and about 24 firemen were dispatched to the scene. So, of course, the blaze was brought under control shortly after that. It was around 7:47 p.m. So this whole, if you think about the sequence so far, I mean, we don't dare to say who are the people behind. However, this whole incident, it looks quite suspicious, and at the same time, well, it can be related to all those issues that's been going on, but we can't really just say things out yet because we don't know what's happening. Well, at the same time, there are eyes that are lying on us in this nation and see how it goes like. And apparently, well, when we talk about 1MDB as well as other issues such as the government reshuffling that just happened on the other day, and also the regards to this fire incident that happened yesterday, Malaysia has been facing quite a bit of, I will say, controversial issues here that people would love to voice out, but it seems that it's just getting lesser and lesser, and that the government really needs to play important and a clearer role here. not only that, because it also chairs the ASEAN this year, so a lot of Southeast Asia have been putting on their eyes on it, and it's really important to really stand up clearly and transparently in front of the other nations as well. So Malaysia, let's see how it goes like, but time is just running out, so we really need to buckle up and really push this nation and see whether this nation will go to the right direction or not. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the political side of the Southeast Asia, so stay tuned.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning. Welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're with Grace. On ASEAN Dailies, we deliver news from Southeast Asia. Now we are moving to Malaysia, where U.S. apparently they criticized for taking Malaysia off tracking the blacklist. Well, the rights group have reacted angrily after America took Malaysia off its human trafficking blacklist, and they also mentioned the decision was made so the U.S. could quickly push through the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a 12-nation free trade agreement which has the anti-trafficking clause. But U.S. denied this and mentioning that Malaysia was making significant effort to eliminate trafficking. Meanwhile, also our neighboring country, Thailand, has argued against its bottom tires trade in the and the report. So let's question this. What is TPP and why does it matter so much? Well, TPP stands for Trans-Pacific Partnership Deal, which Malaysia is apparently the part of, and we need a final decision approval from U.S. Congress, and the President Barack Obama has given the power to fast-track the approval, but not for the countries given the worst rating when it comes to its the yearly trafficking in a person's report. And Malaysia and Thailand, these two countries were previously given the low rating, but this year's report, Malaysia was moved in the lesser severe, and meaning that it just has the rooms for improvement on the issue. But both countries have been criticized for not doing enough to combat this trafficking, particularly since the Rohingya migrant crisis, which we had thousands of people fled from Myanmar, and some of them were floating at sea, and some of them were just left out, and a lot of graves were just found out, and that was very disturbing. So it looked like as if there was no concrete action that have been taken so far when it comes to the human trafficking, and that also leads to human rights. The State Department mentioned that Malaysia does not fully comply with the minimum standard to eliminate this trafficking, and it is making the significant effort to do so. And Malaysia's Home Minister Ahmad Zahid Hamid said that upgrading this affirms the country's effort at the same time. But however, let's carry on with the question. However, Fred Robertson of Human Rights Watch, he mentioned that the convictions of the trafficking were lower than last year, and also pointing to the mass graves. And he also mentioned that the trafficking and the abuse of the migrants were still done with the impunity. So he raised the question, how can the State Department call this progress? This upgrade is more about the TPP and the U.S. trade politics than anything Malaysia did to combat human trafficking over the past year. And of course, the Malaysia-based anti-trafficking group, Tanaganita, mentioned that the upgrade was shameful and nothing the very few recommendations made to Malaysia by the USA last year to combat trafficking were taken up. So there's a little bit of the conflict between US and as well as Malaysia. But on the U.S. side, it was on Monday, the U.S. Undersecretary of State Sarah Cecil, she mentioned to the reporters that the discovery of mass graves will happen after this year's reporting period, and also denied that Malaysia's upgrade had to do with the trade agreement. So meanwhile, the group of these 25 rights groups sent a joint letter to Secretary of State John Kerry supporting the State Department move to retain talents in Tier 3. And they also urged the U.S. to continue the pressuring for substantive changes, in particular to the fishing industry, where slavery is said to be quite rampant, and there are quite a number of population there. So the Thailand military government said the report really did not accurately reflect the significant efforts that was undertaken by the government to tackle the problem. It was more of the Chanucha who mentioned that Thailand was working at full capacity to tackle the trafficking, and also hopefully the U.S. can recognize that it is in its review. So let's move on to the next news, which we can still stay in Malaysia, which is regarding to the plane, the tragedy that we faced in Malaysia just a few months ago, and this is regards to MH370. So there was apparently the mysterious plane, the parts, the wreckage, that happened, and the mysterious this piece of plane, the debris were washed up on the French Indian Ocean island. It was just yesterday. And there's some speculation could be part of the missing MH370. So the 2-meter long piece of wreckage, which seemed to be part of the wing, was found by people who was just cleaning up the beach, and it was covered in shells. So so one could say that it's been in the water a long time. And also, according to French air transport officials, have opened a probe into where the wreckage came from, and also Australian investigators were also reportedly working with the manufacturer, Boeing, to identify if it was really a part of MH370. And we will received, of course, some pictures and also the reports of the item, and we are having them accessed by the manufacturers, so what they can be. And of course, no parts of this wreckage has ever been found so far in one of aviation, the great mysterious, and also, well, Malaysia's authorities in January declared that on the board were presumed that the plane vanished at night over the South China Sea after turning away from its northbound route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and that carried 239 people on board. So, well, when it comes to this wreckage, it could be a part of MH370, but it's under investigation. It's really hard to tell whether it was really part of that plane or not. So there are some wild theories that were just thrown into this investigation apparently, and an Australian-led operation has scored more than the 50,000 square kilometers of the seafloor and about 60% of search zone in the Indian Ocean, determined via expert analysis of the signals from MH370 that were detected by the satellite. However, the 4 search vessels towing about 6-mile cables fitted with sophisticated sonar system that scan the scan will turn up a little except the shipping containers and also previously uncharted shipwreck as well. So, well, suggestions that the plane was definitely commandeered to be used as flying bomb headed for U.S. military installations on the Diego Garcia Atoll, and it was shot down by the Americans. And a lot of now the investigation is going on and speculations are there, so hopefully we can find a positive news as well as to deliver perhaps a little bit of the hope to the victim, the families and also friends of those victims on MH370. So that's it for our political news of Southeast Asia. Stay tuned. We'll deliver and also discuss on the economical side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies, first and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hey, welcome back. This is Grace.
And of course, you are with us on our ASEAN Daily. Again, we are talking about a breaking news that we just received. Apparently, Rohingya are fleeing floods in Kyauktaw.
And then this is another saddening news that we have received. Apparently, we just talked about how U.S. was complaining, also give a negative feedback towards the Malaysian effort towards the human trafficking. And then Rohingya is also something that we cannot neglect when it comes to that issue. And most of these Rohingya villages in this area particularly, they are in the midst of the Rakhine State. And with this sort of okay situation and the circumstances, there's a strict restriction on the movement. However, as houses go underwater in many areas, this whole community, they are fleeing away from these areas.
And you can see photos of it. They have to walk through rivers of water, flood water, in order for them to escape the flood. And of course, in other words, they also have to flee the restricted area that is supposed to be like quote unquote their concentration camp. It's pretty sad that they are in a situation where they are not receiving any help when it comes to living in the restricted area, but at the same time now they have to flee another natural disaster. I'm not sure where they are going right now.
Exactly, and those people, I hope they find that their own destination to settle down temporarily even, but then we never know where they will go with this just a direction. They're just fleeing away because of the flood.
And there are reports saying that Rohingya are spending sleepless nights fearing an attack by Rakhine nationalists on their children. So perhaps the international community can put a focus on what is happening in the Rakhine state right now. But you know, the international community right now is focusing on Southeast Asia, especially Malaysia today.
Yeah.
Because David Cameron is having a 4-day trade visit to Southeast Asia. And of course, previously he had went to Indonesia and Singapore, and yesterday to Vietnam. And today he will be in Malaysia.
Well, one of the main reasons that he's visiting Southeast Asia is to learn and also negotiate and also be able to communicate with all these ministers to talk about the Islamic extremists, how he can learn from Southeast Asia. But however, having Cameron's visit to Southeast Asia also raised a bit of questions, especially visiting to Malaysia, because we cannot neglect all this internal situation that we're having right now. And then people are asking whether it is really good time for David Cameron to visit our nation at this moment, or will he be able to really talk to Prime Minister one-to-one regarding this Islamic extremist?
I think the spirit of UK's visit to Southeast Asia is definitely a positive one. If you see all the 4 countries that he has chosen are definitely emerging economies. They are doing very well on the international stage: Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. But at the same time, they are also talking beyond just trade deals. Like you mentioned, the ISIS attack has been the ISIS influence, I would say, is quite strong in Southeast Asia, so that's one of their focus. But let's focus on Malaysia right now.
Sure.
David Cameron will meet leaders, but the problem is there's just so much corruption happening in this country, as per alleged by many sources, that his visitation might be tempered.
And at the same time, well, he said it is very important to put this on the agenda. I mean, his visit, and then he has his own plans, of course, but he will just go ahead and to talk about these issues with this, and also because of there are issues that and that there was needs to be talked about, not only from Southeast Asia but also from British point of view as well.
It's pretty sad that Malaysia right now is mired with a lot of scandals, especially the scandal on 1MDB. But when it comes to Cameron's visit, we hope that things can move positive. Corruption is definitely a cancer that needs to be dealt on the roots.
Right.
Especially when you want to do good business with countries, you need to ensure that the country has as much as close to zero corruption. Singapore would be the
For
best example on this, and I think his visit will be interesting because Sarawak Report, the portal that exposed the 1MDB scandal, is situated in London. So I would be interested to see how David Cameron respond to the question about Sarawak Report.
That would be very
supposed to be
interesting.
a British-based whistleblowing website.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also in addition to that, of course, Cameron is hoping to boost trade ties between the UK and also Southeast Asia. I mean, he stopped Indonesia, Singapore, and Vietnam that we mentioned before, but his effort to learn about this fight, the jihadist group ISIS, and also it is on his agenda during his stops. And he's targeting Muslim majority Indonesia and Malaysia especially.
Definitely. And besides talking about trade deals, it's also important to note that all the 4 countries that he is having trade tour in are actually having a robust startup scene. Of course, in Malaysia, it's well known that we have Magic and we have a few other startup initiatives to help entrepreneurs. But in Vietnam, it will be even more interesting because a third of the entire country, 30 million people, are on Facebook, 17 million are on smartphone or tablets, and they are estimated to spend 2 and 3 hours a day on the site. Vietnam is one of the emerging startup scene that people are really looking forward to capitalize on that.
That's very interesting. And if Cameron can learn something about all this startup scenes and then small like the entertainment business, why not? He can learn and then bring it to UK and introduce them.
So UK is having their own, trade tour, while the US, I don't know, is going round and round years after years talking about the TPPA and trying to
For sure.
get it signed, I was supposed. But unfortunately, according to Malaysian minister, Malaysia is not signing the TPP in Hawaii.
And this is very interesting because Malaysia is also a part of TPP and also RCEP. But according to him, we will not sign when it comes to in Hawaii. And like Malaysia, each TPP member will need to go through its own domestic process before the final decision is made. And when it comes to negotiations, during this conclusion, Mustapa countries, they need to make their decision, and the Malaysian government will take this firm stand on the agreement while safeguarding the Malaysian constitution's sovereignty and as well as core policies such as Bumiputra agenda.
So what is this TPP all about? Apparently, it's going to create better market access for Malaysia. Of course, it would be a bit more stricter than RCEP or any other existing trade deals that we have right now. But TPP will foresee Malaysia being part of the global mega trade deal in which, as for market access, they will see tariff elimination, and of course, at the same time, Malaysia will be able to capitalize on other people's market access. Other countries' market access. So it will be a boon for Malaysia, but because it's really strict, that's where people are quite concerned about it, especially when it comes to issue about patent rights, about whether companies can sue government or not, about safety, and a host of different issues that related to protection of the rights of citizens to access of information as well. So anyway, Pacific partners may discuss currency rules along with trade deals. That's interesting.
Well, the United States has not suggested including currency rules in the TPP deal, and U.S. officials have warned such rules could undermine the dependency of monetary policy and also other TPP partners as well, and that includes Japan and also who are also opposed to the idea. And then they had this forum with the finance ministers who will agree to consider the regular basis aspect of the currency manipulation. relation. So when it comes to currencies, I will say it is quite sensitive because the ringgit is dropping. Of course, Australian dollar is lowering than Singaporean dollars currently, but when it comes to TPP, they are not looking to put it as a part of TPP treaty, but they are looking at things to make sure and also make use of the relationship of 12 countries to currency that these all issues that's been going on. So they hope that they don't see any re-emergence of the currency manipulation here.
So another story that I want to highlight about this currency deal, I'm actually questioning it as well, because the currency value right now is kind of unstable. So I think the US want to create a more fixed monetary policy, just like the WTO and all. The intention is well-meaning, but I'm not sure whether it would happen or not, because every country has their own personal interests, and they wouldn't know how this would impact their own negotiation deal. Anyway, we'll take another one short break. When we return, we will discuss on the social culture side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Welcome back, this is Grace.
So talking about social culture, nothing beats Hello Kitty, I would say.
This Hello Kitty is very old. And then they'll be going to perhaps Southeast Asia, and one of the country, it will be Cambodia.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Hello Kitty is expanding its purrness to Cambodia. Recently, it opens, I think, a store or a market. The first shop here in Aeon Mall in Cambodia, and I think it will be receiving well by the locals there.
For sure. I mean, there are a lot of youngsters still, when it comes to love for Hello Kitty, is still there, and perhaps it can be growing after it is launched in Cambodia. And apparently, the sales from Sanrio's shop and Aeon Mall go to 30% of the tourist market, and also 20 to 30% more to the expats. And the Cambodians locals buy the remaining 40 to 50% of the merchandise. So Hello Kitty is still popular worldwide, especially when it comes to Asian countries.
Another, I would say, online tool that is also as popular as Hello Kitty is Facebook.
I think Facebook is more popular than Hello Kitty at the moment.
So Facebook now is used by half of the world's online user. That's crazy, considering 3 billion.
For sure.
Or 4.
For sure. And the number is equal to half of the estimated 3 billion people, like you mentioned. And those users, over half, about 65%, now accessing to Facebook daily. And I don't deny that I'm one of them also.
Yeah, I would say it's our second life.
Yes, for sure.
Our first life. Or, I mean, we have our physical life, but we also have our virtual life. Totally different.
Exactly. And it looks like the users, Facebook users, will only grow after years and years, and they'll be also spending on Facebook, because Facebook goes for does a lot of advertisement and also promotions, and the prices are pretty affordable. So when it comes to business deals, they make use of Facebook with that also.
And what's interesting is the rise in monthly active users have driven second quarter revenue up to 39% year on year to 4.04 billion US dollar of revenue, which is quite impressive, I would say.
So I think we should really, really congratulate Mr. Zuckerberg for his hard work. And,
well, I totally agree with you. Facebook is amazing tool.
For sure.
but just, I mean, one of the things that I think Facebook has done well, not just Facebook, but social media in general, is highlighting issues that people are concerned about. And I'm sure people have heard the word, the name called Cecil the lion.
Oh, yes.
And it has enraged the whole internet community. And I found out about the news in Facebook, surprisingly.
It is very sad news, and there are a lot of the animal extinction happening, and it's also because of the human beings. That we kill them and we put all those equipment in the forest to kill them, and they sell all the bones and animal skins for really, really expensive price, which is not right, because if you disturb the ecosystem, what will happen to human beings after all, and Cecil, lions, and it leads to have the fear among the Cecil cubs as well.
And what people might not realize is trophy hunting is an industry in Africa, like it or not. Rich people or rich white people are going to kill this exotic animal for fun, and they are willing to pay big money to countries.
Yes, for sure.
And it happened in Zimbabwe. You know, Zimbabwe is also another country that is underdeveloped and they need the money. But I mean, they blame it that the hunters lure the lion outside of its protected sanctuary. But I think that's not the issue. The issue here, why trophy hunting is still a thing. Yeah.
Well, because like you mentioned, it's a way of making the revenue for the country, but at the same time, it could be also a part of their hobbies or interest, and then to be able to sort of make an achievement among the community. But then there are also a lot of NGOs who try to protect those animals, but then the efforts can only reach that far. Still, there are so many trophy hunters are going on, and then they are even educating younger generation to come up with or new skills, a new way of catching the animals in the forest, and that's very disturbing.
And I want to applaud the internet community. They have done so well that the person who killed the lion, he was a dentist. He has to close his dental practice because people were sending plush toy animals put it in front of his dental practice, saying that why are you killing him? It's just a cute lion that is surviving in his own little sanctuary.
Exactly. And thanks to online, I guess that's the power of online, and that's how people get their awareness is affirmed. So, well, I hope the people not just doing on the surface sort of effort when it comes to protecting animals, but I really hope that they do feel any concern about the animal extinction.
Anyway, that's all from us today. You can always catch us live again tomorrow, Friday, 8 to 9 o'clock for our ASEAN Daily. But of course, you can always listen to us on the go via your mobile by downloading the TuneIn app and search for Durian ASEAN.
As well as we do have our social media channels such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. So you can look for podcasts on YouTube and other feedbacks. You can leave your feedbacks on our social media channels.